Greg has a fascinating leadership story to tell. So would you please give him a warm welcome back to where it all began for him 41 years ago, the Queensland University of Technology.
I just want to share a couple of, anecdotes of growing up and also just of leadership in general. And the first is, I think you have to be your true, authentic self. And I think in society these days, there's so much desire to not want to stand out. But I believe that fundamentally leaders have to stand out. And so, the first thing is, you've got to be honest about what is your true, authentic self. You have to be genuinely honest about, what are you good at, what are you not good at. And I think the people that are truly honest about themselves surround themselves then with people who complement their skills, and, that makes a great team. Then you have to find an environment in which you can be your true, authentic self. As a leader, you have to create environments to allow people to be their true, authentic self. But I do think you have to find an environment where you can be one. I believe every decision that we make is an unconscious emotional decision. Humans do not do things for functional reasons. So as leaders, if we only appeal to people that we lead because we think they are driven by functional reasons, we're not leading them to the best of our ability. No one cares about the functionality. It's what makes us happy. If it makes us happy, we should do it. Because if we don't build emotional connections, then offering them a job grade or a title or $100, we think is enough. But as that really simply demonstrates, it's not. So the only way to do this is to build emotional connections. And emotional connections take time. But what are some, sort of tricks of the trade or things that I've observed? The first one is what I call insights versus observations. A lot of business talks about having an insight. But what they really have is an observation. And an observation is what's happening, and an insight is why it's happening. But I think far too often businesses basically go, oh, I've got an insight, and here's the insight, and I act upon it. What they've really got is just an observation. And an observation doesn't get to the why of human behavior. It just gets to the what. I think as human beings, we spend a lot of time trying to understand. And the question is, understanding usually comes from your context, from wherever you stand. And yet you can spend a lot of time trying to, why does someone smoke? I don't know why people smoke. I've never smoked. Does it really matter that I have to understand why? I just have to accept it. And I find that just in life in general, we can spend a lot of time trying to understand things. And if we try to understand it from our context, it essentially just sucks up our brain power, where sometimes just accepting things and moving on. 3 characteristics that I look for in leaders. I call it smart, heart, and courage. The thing that I think least defines a great leader is actually your IQ. But EQ, your emotional intelligence, A, you can make it dramatically better, and B, it's your emotional intelligence that enables you to emotionally connect and build these relationships that I believe are fundamentally important to be a great leader. The second thing is heart, and there's 2 parts to heart. There is, do you have a true heart for people? Do you truly, truly love people? And the second is, do you have a heart for the business that you're in? And the last one is courage. And I think today, more than ever, we need leaders that are courageous. And one of my favorite acronyms, have you heard of the acronym of FEAR, what FEAR stands for? False expectations appearing real. Most of the things that we're fearful of never actually occur. As leaders, we have to be courageous. And the thing I do love about Australians is that they are courageous. I think they are incredibly courageous. It's this have-a-go attitude. And I think all of that sums up to why I think a lot of Australians have had an opportunity either in Australia or outside of Australia to run some large organisations. I want to thank you for your time. I hope it's been enjoyable. I appreciate you all being here. Please give to the Learning Fund, and thank you for your time and attention today. Thank you.
What have been your big failures and what have you learned?
Oh, I've had some doozies. We don't have enough time for me to go through my failures. You know what is interesting is young people who are starting out love hearing your mistakes. They will sit around and listen forever because I think there's this crazy belief that to get to where you get to, you've never made a mistake. And one of the ladies who works with me has a great saying, which is, if you've run and you've never skinned your knee, you've not run hard enough. And I think it's a great analogy for, we really do actually sometimes, so if you're a runner and you've never fallen over, if you're a skier and you've never fallen, then you really haven't learned.
So what do you feel about people who try to hide their mistakes?
Well, they're only hiding it from themselves to start with. So, how can you be your true self? My first point. Now, I do think Australians are great at being vulnerable. And I say this even when
we do vulnerability well.
We do vulnerability really well, and the Americans really suck at vulnerability. I love driving around, and everyone's student is a national honor student. I'm like, where are all the dumb kids in America? Because clearly where I live, everyone's a genius. So, and they really do struggle. And I tell them this. I tell them that they are struggling with being vulnerable, and a vulnerability is what builds this emotional connection.
Greg Creed, thanks very much for
talking
with us
today.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks, buddy.